So which Squier Debut is right for you? We're going to take a look at the Squier Debut Stratocaster and Telecaster and do a quality comparison between the two. So the question on the table, which one is right for you? I can't answer personally which one is right for you, but I do want to compare the quality, compare my experiences, and compare a lot of the features, specs, things like that between the two. So if you're on the fence between the Strat and the Tele, this video might help you make up your mind. Now this is a quality comparison. Obviously they're two different guitars. You might have a preference for one model or the other. A lot of people, they have multiple models, different types. So I've bought 3 of the Strats, plus the HSS Strat and 2 of the Debut Telecasters, and I've definitely got a lot to say about them. I've published videos showing my first impressions, more in-depth reviews for each of these, but this is more of a comparison. If you want to see those, definitely check them out on my channel. I'm going to probably save it until the end, but it might be pretty obvious throughout the video which one I prefer. Now I acknowledge that these don't look stock, but I didn't change any electronics. I didn't change the pickups. The most significant change is on the Telecaster to address some issues. I did swap out the tuners for some locking tuners. Obviously, I did cosmetic changes to both, like change the pick guards. Let me know what you think about the Strat. I had this old white pick guard, which has faded over time to the cream color. It wasn't originally purchased as a cream pick guard. You can see where it used to be white, and now it's cream. But this particular pick guard earned this kind of patina on an old Squier, and it fit on here really nicely. Of course, everyone loves a Tele. I love the look of it. My feedback has nothing to do with the issues that I faced with this one right out of the box. It was slightly damaged. The finish was a little bit damaged. That's not what makes up my mind. I think it sounds really nice. I think it feels good. They both have really, I'd say, pretty nice necks. The tuners on both leave a lot to be desired. They're pretty inconsistent between models. So on the 2 Strats, one had decent tuners. The other one, the tuners just were not good. And that's the same thing with these Teles. On one, the tuners were usable, and on the other, they just wouldn't function very well. I couldn't precisely get it in tune. They just didn't feel good even just turning the tuners. So these 18-to-1 locking tuners are definitely a worthy upgrade. And I definitely think they would be on the Strat too. I love the matte finish on both. I think the dark fretboards look really nice, and I don't really see much of a difference between rosewood and what we have here. I think these are Indian Laurel, but I think they look pretty good. And both could definitely use another bit of oil. I didn't have any major fret issues. When the humidity dropped right down, I could just start to feel the edges of the frets. So I really don't think the fretwork was bad on these at all. And I actually really dig these block saddles. I think the bridge is pretty good, especially for the price. I think they made a lot of really good choices on this guitar. And now with the Strat, I think they probably should have automatically just gone for a hardtail bridge. In my opinion, beginners would probably benefit from buying something with a hardtail. And since this one came decked, the bridge was not floating at all. It was all the way down to the body. They should have just made it a hardtail, which I think would actually be cheaper for manufacturing as well. I think one of the reasons why they didn't release the blue or the surf green as a hardtail or the seafoam green is probably because people would buy them and turn them into Tom DeLonge Strats a little more often without the trem. I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why they didn't. I probably would have done it, to be honest. I think the fretboards, the necks, are equal on these. And on the other ones, they're all good. I didn't have any issues with the necks on any of them. The plastic nut has been fine. Some were probably cut a little better than others. It was on one of the Teles, it was a little bit sloppy. The paint's been good, but on the blue Debut Strat, the neck pocket area, the paint was a little bit chipped, very slightly. I would say both are a really solid and pretty popular mod platform. If you're looking for something to mess around with different pickups, even if you want to swap the neck, if you want a matte finish body, those are all probably good reasons to buy these. If you saw the video I put out about the Telecaster Debut, I did run into some pretty significant playability issues. I think this issue kind of translates to both, but has a bigger effect on the Telecaster. They put one string tree on both of them. I love the look of that. I think it looks good, but functionally, both Telecasters had playability issues because of it. So it was like rattling. They had the sort of sitar effect going on. I don't know how they missed it, and tons of people seem to run into the same issue. Whether people pointed it out or not, I've heard it in the playback or the demos in lots of other videos. So it seems like across the whole Debut Telecaster ran into that issue. Now, I bet a better nut would help a lot with that. The swapped tuners did help, but don't perfectly solve the issue. I was able to wrap the string further down the post, kind of add more winds around it at the tuner, so I put the string around more times even though they're locking, just to increase the break angle at the nut. And these are shorter posts, so I changed the break angle a lot. And it did make a difference, but it's not perfect. That's something that I don't think a newbie would really be able to fix. I think some people that are going to mod a guitar could fix it, but it's kind of an annoying thing that I think a company like Squier could and should have fixed before they released that guitar. I don't think it should be up to a new player, really any consumer, to fix something like that. I didn't really run into that much with the Strats. Overall, I think just the design of the Strat, it just works better together. I personally think the Strat is the way to go. If you're not too concerned with one model versus the other, if you really just want a good, reliable guitar, really kind of free of issues, or at least free of any significant issues, I would go with the Strat. Of course, you could return either if you ran into issues, but I think it's almost guaranteed if you get the Telecaster, you're going to need to add a string tree, change the tuners, something. Either one, I highly recommend you change the tuners at least. I think the Strat, if you just swap the tuners, call it a day, you might be able to get away with the cheap tuners. My first guitar had terrible tuners on it. Better tuners exist, and even brands that are selling guitars for less are putting them on their guitars. So I really think Squier could have improved the tuners a little bit. Probably not for much money, I would think just pennies, because these ones are not good. Overall, the Strat is definitely worth the money. I think the Tele is also worth the money if you're willing to put the work in or have someone fix it for you. If you're not willing to address the issue you saw in the previous video, I would say just don't get this Tele. Maybe bump it up and get a Tele style or Tele for a little bit more money. If you're set on a Squier and you want a Telecaster, I would probably say steer clear of the Debut unless you are willing to address the sitar issue. Or maybe you'll get lucky, who knows. Now let me know in the comments what you think. What have been your experiences between these two guitars or any of the other entry-level Squiers? If you have suggestions for people that might be a good kind of entry-level instrument for, you know, a good value, definitely put that in the comments. But let me know especially what you think about these guitars. If you like the minor mods that I put into them. If you got one of these Teles and didn't have the whole nut issue that we talked about, let me know that too, because I'm kind of curious if there are any unicorns out there that were totally fine. I love to get conversations going in the chat, so if you comment on the video, I'm going to respond. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I've got lots more content on the way, some entry-level stuff, and some stuff that definitely wasn't cheap. If you want to know what I'm talking about, you're going to have to subscribe so that you're the first to see it when the videos come out. See you again soon, I hope.